안녕하세요. 코인 앤드류입니다. 오늘 영상은 마이클 세일러의 비트코인과 AI 시대의 조합에 대해서 이야기하는 영상입니다. 비트코인이 폭포수처럼 떨어지는 요즘 시장 분위기는 정말 심란하기만 한데요. 전문가들이 모든 방향을 맞추지는 못하지만 오늘 마이클 세일러가 하는 이야기를 들어보시면 여러분들은 비트코인 하락에도 굳게 버티실 수 있을 거라 믿습니다. 영상 시작하겠습니다.
Right, Bitcoin's going to go up because capital is going to be created by technology, and as the world gets richer, the capital is going to have to find a home, and Bitcoin price is going to appreciate because there'll be more currency, more dollars, more pesos, more rubles, more everything. And the price is going to appreciate because people are going to sell their 20th century physical assets and financial assets and the like in order to buy digital assets. And that trend is going to accelerate as people get educated, because why would anybody want to own a warehouse in the middle of Africa when you could own the equivalent amount of Bitcoin? They're all going to trade when they can. It's just going to be a question of supportive institutions. Give me a safe way to buy $1 billion of it, and then supportive regulations, and then education. So these are all things that are simple to predict. And that was my prediction in July of 2024. But look what happened since then, right? Since then, we had a red sweep. You had a pro-Bitcoin Congress, pro-Bitcoin Senate, pro-Bitcoin House, pro-Bitcoin president. You have every cabinet member, or nearly every cabinet member owns Bitcoin, is pro-crypto. They're all very supportive. And now you have a supportive Secretary of the Treasury. You have one executive order, directing that we create a vibrant digital assets industry in the United States. You have a second executive order creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. You have a huge amount of momentum. What I've seen is a sea change over the past 16 weeks. Most conventional investors and traditional investors everywhere in the world that were not interested or afraid of this asset class, they have all flipped their view to being very curious. So I've been invited to conferences in South America with the 100 wealthiest families for the first time. I've been invited to speak to all the Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds for the first time. I've been invited to speak at Morgan Stanley's tech conference, the most prestigious one in the tech industry of tech investors, for the first time. I've been invited to speak at CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Committee, for the first time. I've been invited to the White House to speak to the President of the Cabinet for the first time, right? And so there's that speech that I gave on Tuesday at the National Press Club on, there were 2 senators on stage with me for the first time. And so what you have is an avalanche of institutional interest by mainstream policymakers, business leaders, investors. And if you roll the clock back 16 months, none of it existed. The number of institutional investors invested in spot Bitcoin ETFs went from 6 to 3,300 over 12 months. So I would say that institutional adoption is clearly afoot. Every member of the cabinet to be pro-crypto, pro-Bitcoin. Every member of the cabinet. There isn't any, it's one thing to say, well, we elected a president that stopped suing us, right? Ended the war on crypto. But we went from a war on crypto to every crypto enforcement action getting unwound day by day to now a very, very positive, not just positive in an ambiguous way, positive in a decisive way. We're going to do this. We're going to do this week. Next week, we're going to do this. In 6 months, you better do this. Right? That, I think, is a reason that everybody in the industry ought to be feeling very optimistic, because these are the most auspicious developments in the last 12 weeks that have happened in the entire history of the industry. And the AI economy is going to be built on digital energy by moving energy, money at the speed of light, at the speed of a computer. It's a $100 trillion economy. There is one digital energy network. If you own it, if you control it, you control and participate in that $100 trillion economy. If you don't, you're locked out of the economy. The AIs are going to think 1 million times a second, and they're going to want to trade 1 million times a second with each other. You can't do it without a digital monetary network, and that'll be built on Bitcoin as the settlement network. So the entire future of the banking system and the digital commerce system and the AI economy, it's all going to be based upon digital money, digital energy, digital capital. And so that's important. And then the fourth metaphor is it's a digital defense system, because the measure of power in cyberspace is the exahash. If you want to create a system that can't be corrupted, censored, tampered with, or hacked by an AI or by another computer, you need raw power combined with the power of cryptography, a wall of digital energy or encrypted energy. And so if I wanted to send $10 billion into a war zone, the only way to do it is with Bitcoin. If I want to lock down a cyber system against cyber attack, where I want to authenticate it and make it tamper-proof, what you want is public-private key cryptography embedded into the Bitcoin blockchain, backed by 20 gigawatts of electricity, 850 exahash. No one can crack that, right? And we have a situation today where Satoshi could prove to you in 1 second that they are in possession of $80 billion worth of capital by simply signing a message with their private key. That has profound cybersecurity implications for the country. So when you put them all together, right, digital capital, digital property, digital, energy, and digital defense, what you can see is that you either going to own cyberspace, and owning cyberspace is owning the asset and controlling the network, controlling cyberspace, or your enemy does. And if you lose control of your airspace, you get bombed back to the Stone Age in 1 week. You lose the country. If you lose control of the sea lanes, you lose the country. If you lose control of cyberspace, not only can you not send money between New York and Tokyo, you can't send money between New York and Chicago. You can't even send money between your computer and the computer in the same room next to you in a secure fashion. So in this case, the reason this is important to U.S. digital supremacy is the future economy is digital intelligence, and it's going to need to move digital energy protected by digital power in order to engage in digital commerce. And Bitcoin is that digital energy network, and that's why it's in the best interest of the U.S. to own it. The two big drivers of Bitcoin price going up are innovation and inflation.
제 채널에 등장하는 전문가들은 대부분 비트코인을 좋게 이야기해야 하는 위치에 있는 사람들입니다. 고객 자금을 굴리고 있거나 회사 자금으로 비트코인을 구매한 사람들이 많기 때문이죠. 시장에는 정답질은 없습니다. 그럼에도 많은 투자자들은 리스크를 감수하고 돈을 벌기 위해서 비트코인 시장에 뛰어드는 것이죠. 하지만 급등락하는 비트코인 시장에서 급등과 급락을 반복하는 차트를 보고도 개인 투자자들이 욕심과 공포를 떨쳐내고 평정심과 내 자산이 우상향을 하는 것은 말처럼 쉽지가 않으실 겁니다. 저 또한 전업 투자자 생활을 오래 했지만 항상 좋은 자리를 기다리고 인내해야 수익을 조금씩 낼 수 있었습니다. 그래서 저희 앤드류 트레이딩 팀에서는 어떻게 하면 일반 개인 투자자들도 투자 시장에서 수익을 낼 수 있을까? 구독자분들께 어떻게 하면 조금이라도 도움을 좀 드릴 수 있을까? 고민을 하다가 구독자분들도 비트코인이 명확하게 상승 추세가 나왔을 때만 투자를 하실 수 있게 한다면 수익이 조금 나지 않을까? 라는 생각을 하게 되었는데요. 제가 전업 투자를 하면서도 개발자로 오래 일을 했기 때문에 저도 써볼 겸 유료 결제를 해서 결국 만들었습니다. 바로 비트코인이 정말 신뢰할 수 있는 상승 추세인 건지 횡보인지 하락인지 알 수 있게 도움을 주는데요. 지금 보고 계시는 건 비트코인 차트인데요. 제가 빨간색 네모박스로 표시해둔 곳을 보시면 주황색 61선과 파란색 121선이 교차하는 구간에서 추세가 변동되는 걸 보실 수 있습니다. 실제로 지금 비트코인은 최근에 61선과 121선이 데드크로스 하방 교차하면서 조정이 나오고 있는데요. 제가 운영 중인 앤드류 관점 채널에서는 보시다시피 2월 25일부터 줄 곧 비트코인 하락 관점을 말씀드리고 리스크 관리에 대해서 말씀을 드렸고 많은 분들이 도움을 받으셨습니다. 물론 데드크로스가 난다고 해서 무조건 하락하지도 상승하지도 않습니다. 저희 앤드류 트레이딩 팀에서 개발한 알파빗 지표는 약 8개의 고급 추세 기준과 트레이더들의 노하우를 담아서 차트가 상승할 확률이 높을 때 신호가 나오도록 개발을 하였습니다. 그 결과 저희 전문 트레이딩 팀 또한 판단에 도움받을 정도로 만족할 만한 놀라운 성과를 보였습니다. 시중에 유료로 팔 수 있을 정도로 가치 있는 지표이지만 저희 앤드류 채널 영상을 시청해주시는 구독자분들께는 무료로 제공해드리기로 마음먹었습니다. 저 또한 며칠 밤새 테스트하며 어렵게 만든 지표이지만 구독자분들 성원에 힘입어 저 또한 도움을 받고 있기 때문에 어렵게 공유드리기로 마음먹었습니다. 초보자분들부터 경력이 오래된 트레이더분들까지 굉장히 큰 도움을 받을 수 있는 지표라 도움이 되실 거라고 자부합니다. 신청 방법은 하단 더보기란과 고정 댓글에 나와 있으니 많은 신청 부탁드리고 이번 하락장에서 모두 잘 살아남으셔서 좋은 성적 내시면 좋겠습니다.